UFC Vegas 74. These are the early predictions and the betting breakdown. Week off from the UFC, throwing the picks out to you guys early. We're going to talk about each of the matchups on the card. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. Also note, fight day, June 3rd, I got the full card fight companion going down. So make sure you guys tune into that live stream. And I'll also be dropping an updated full card prediction video next Sunday. Didn't want to do nothing for the week off. I wanted to bring the fire so we can get at these lines nice and early. So let's start it off with the first fight of the night. It's Maxim Grishin versus Philipe Lins. I'm going to be picking Maxim Grishin to win a unanimous decision. I think he's going to have better striking from distance. I feel like Lins might have slightly better punch flurries and combinations, but Grishin does a really good job of controlling the pace of a fight and doing well from the outside. Lins can be hit. He also will look to grapple, and I'd say Lins has a pretty decent grappling skill set, but I think Grishin's going to be way too hard for him to take down, and I see Grishin as the stronger fighter. I think he'll do better in the clinch and could actually control some positions from there. I think unanimous decision for Maxim Grishin to start it off. Odds for the fight, Grishin is the favorite at around -150, and then Lins that +130 underdog. I like the Grishin side to win first fight of the night. Not the highest level of light heavyweights. I got to say, Lins, pretty badass win in the last one, just destroying Ovin St. Preux. And then Maxim Grishin on the opposite side had the complete opposite performance. Just an absolute snooze fest unanimous decision win over William Knight. I'm telling you, the fight will be much better than the William Knight fight. And I think Grishin wins it on the scorecards. Let's get to the next fight. Second fight on the card, we have Luan Lacerda versus Damon Blackshear. I'm going to be picking Damon Blackshear to win this fight. I think the stylistic clash is something that really intrigues me a lot. Lacerda, submission savvy. Damon Blackshear, also very submission savvy. I have a hard time seeing Luan Lacerda taking Damon Blackshear down, controlling him, getting to dominant position and finding a sub. I don't think Damon Blackshear is going to be like a sitting duck for a triangle from guard if he ends up getting on top of Lacerda either. And when I look at the stand-up, I see Muay Thai Lacerda, who majority of his strikes are kicks, and he's kind of upright, he's kind of stiff, and I actually think Damon Blackshear definitely has better boxing. He's more athletic, and he has more knockout power in his hands. And actually, I think he's got better wrestling too. His takedowns are more on point. I could see Blackshear backing Lacerda up against the cage. I can see him taking him down and getting some ground and pound off. I'm going Damon Blackshear to win this thing. I do think we're probably going all three. I'll say that Damon Blackshear wins it on the judges' scorecards, and he's actually a very close money underdog. +120 the line. Luan Lacerda -140. I'm just not sold on Lacerda. And I know people will look at Blackshear and completely write him off, but lost to Farid Basharat. Look at Basharat's kickboxing and compare it, on the contrary, to Lacerda. Way better with his head movement, way better with his range management, and better hands. Also, draw with Yusuf Zalal. At the end of the day, Zalal's a tricky striker. Lacerda hasn't proven anything to me in the UFC besides he's a decent fighter, good record, 12-2. Damon Blackshear, not as pretty of the record, but he's got a lot of pro experience, and I think he's come into his own. And stylistically, I see him in this matchup as the favorable side. So give me Damon Blackshear as a dog to get it done. Next fight on the card, ladies going after it. It's Jinh Frey versus Elise Reed. I'm going to be picking Elise Reed. I see her as the better overall fighter. Jinh Frey has good Muay Thai, but it's controlled pace. I really feel like Reed is the faster kickboxer. She's got better combinations. I think that she also is a fair margin superior in the grappling department, specifically from top position. MMA, I want to see fighters dominating from the top. Elise Reed definitely can do that. She's going to be, I think, putting pressure on Frey from the start of the fight, backing her up against the cage. We have the small cage. Do not be surprised when Elise Reed mixes in some takedowns and is controlling Frey. But also, look at Jinh Frey's last fight. She was brutally knocked out against Poliana Viana, and she's 38. That could be a career-ending type of loss here. You look at some wins there. I mean, the Corey McKenna split. Sijara Eubank obviously got her. Like, when you look at Elise Reed's resume, I think she's in good here. I'm picking Elise Reed to win this thing. Looking at Jinh Frey at 38, I don't know. I feel like this is a weird term, but I feel like she's almost like stuck in the mud sometimes with her stand-up. And I think Reed is just going to have way more speed. She's going to be able to probably outstrike and outgrapple her. I see this as the Elise Reed showcase fight, but it's very hard for me to say Elise Reed's getting a finish. So I think I am going to pick decision for Elise Reed. I'd love to see a finish, especially against the 38-year-old Jinh Frey, but probably going long. Odds are even, minus 112, Reed, Frey at minus 108. But I actually see Reed at dog money, minus 106 at FanDuel, that is. So, hey, if you can find Elise Reed dog money, women's MMA, even pick, even fight. But ultimately, I think when you actually see the cage close, I think Elise Reed's going to look clearly better. And I think the lines being close like this is potentially a mismark. Next fight on the card, it's Daniel Willie Cat Santos and Johnny Munoz Jr. We finally get to see these two face off. I'm picking Willie Cat. If you guys follow the channel, you know I'm a fan of Willie Cat. He's got a little bit of a cult following with me. I really like his dangerous stand-up game and his toughness. Trains with Chute Box, Diego Lima, the fucking savage crew over there. And I feel like he's a winner. The guy's got a ton of heart. He can come back from adversity. He's got a steel chin, but also great recovery. Very much a banging style and likes to mix it up. Whereas Johnny Munoz, more controlled output. Gonna look to keep a pace. More on the, I'd say, controlled side for sure. A tempoed pace. Whereas Willie Cat is going to look to bring fire. I think he's going to overwhelm Munoz Jr. I think that Munoz could be laid clean here. Inside of the distance is really what I'm seeing. I'm thinking Willie Cat can hurt Munoz Jr. on the feet and maybe even lock up a sub. Kind of think I'm going to go the KO route. Official call, I'm going to call KO, but I don't think club and sub is crazy here. I think Willie Cat's going to have a good striking showcase. I just don't think Munoz Jr. Has the stand-up game nor the wrestling offense to give a significant threat to Daniel Willie Cat Santos. He doesn't have the stinging power. So, like, I know Willie Cat has been hurt in some fights, but I'm looking at this one. I think he's going to be able to walk Munoz down and throw fire at him, and I don't think Munoz is going to be able to do significant damage coming back. Minus 185 for my guy, Willie Cat. And then Johnny Munoz at plus 160. Give me Willie Cat, Daniel Santos for the knockout win. Let's get to the next one. Heavyweights going after it. Andrei Arlovski, Dontel Mays. Very weird fight here, right? Because Dontel Mays is freakishly large and Arlovski is, you know, he's a great heavyweight at one point. He's a real good heavyweight, I guess we'll say. I'm picking Arlovski to win. I just will not pick Dontel Mays again. He's fumbled the bag for me in the past, and I'm not fumbling it again. Not one of my favorite betting fights on the card. And I mean, you look at recent opponents for Dontel Mays. Win over Josh Parisian, okay. Win over Roque Martinez. Lost to Nascimento by sub. And then his past two, Hamdi Abdullah beat him on a split decision, but then he popped for roids. And then you look at the last time, Augusto Sakai, dominant decision. On the side of Andrei Arlovski, he outstrikes, I mean, pretty much everybody. Chase Sherman, Carlos Philipe, Jared Vandera, which that was close. Jay Collier, which was very close. And then De Lima fucked him up bad. Dontel Mays is really big, but he's slow, and he doesn't have great stand-up or grappling. He's kind of just a big heavyweight that's fairly athletic. Andrei Arlovski is way more technical. Reach disadvantage for Arlovski is a little bit concerning, but I still see him landing multi-shot combos on Mays, and there's literally not significant power threat from Dontel Mays. As big as he is, he's not a heavy puncher, so I'm going to go Arlovski to pull this shit off, and we'll see what happens, because holy shit, he's 44 years of age. Arlovski, minus 110. Dontel Mays, minus 110. Coin flip fight. I'm going with Grandpa Arlovski to get it done for the OGs of the game. Next fight on the card, we have John Castañeda versus Mateus Mendonça. I'm picking Mateus Mendonça over John Castañeda. I mean, listen, Chute Box Diego Lima's team saw John Castañeda in his last fight with Willie Cat. and they know he's got dangerous high kicks. They feel like, okay, tough guy, but will maybe overexert himself for a finish. Mendonça's pretty good with range management. I think he's going to be able to do his thing on the feet. I think he's going to be able to control. I think he's going to be able to land with some precise power. I feel like he's hurting John Castañeda. I'm thinking here, maybe second round knockout, similar to Willie Katz. Castañeda's a decent southpaw with fairly good boxing chops. He's got a solid wrestling game, and he does have quick high kicks. He brings his legs up kind of nasty fast. Mendonça on the other side, good Muay Thai striker. I feel like better range management, more of a pressure style, and I think he can get Castañeda backing up. He's going to find a lot of shots here. He's got big hooks, and I think he's the better athlete of the two. I'm going Mendonça. I'm going to say Mendonça knockout. Looking at the lines, Castañeda is the favorite, man. He tends to be the favorite over these, newbies, I guess, in the UFC from the Shoot the Box team. I don't think that's good here. I think that's a mismark. Plus 140 from Mateus Mendonça, Castañeda, minus 160. Give me the dog. Give me Mendonça to sleep John Castañeda. He might have a good first round, but ultimately I think he's getting chinned in this fight here. Next fight on the card is the featured prelim. It's Elizeu Zaleski versus Abubakar Nurmagomedov. Listen, you don't go against the OV if you're me, so I'm picking Nurmagomedov to get this done. Looking at Zaleski on the other side, he does have dangerous striking. He's got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. But I feel like he can get controlled in the wrestling department by Nurmagomedov. He can get controlled against the cage by him too. And even in the striking, Nurmagomedov's not bad. He's come along. Good southpaw. I feel like Zaleski is more explosive, but he's going to have a hard time getting to Nurmagomedov. And when Zaleski looks to open up and throw big strikes, I see the wrestling advantage being evident, and I think Nurmagomedov can potentially put him on his back. Listen, the OV, Nurmagomedov, as an underdog, Zaleski's a fun guy to watch, and he's dangerous. But Nurmagomedov's the pick. You guys know OV majority of the time is getting the win. And then you throw him at dog money. That'd be crazy to go against him. Nurmagomedov plus 110. I do have a hunch that this line may potentially start shifting because Nurmagomedov's name is normally minus 300 or more as a favorite. Seeing him at plus money is kind of mind-boggling. Zaleski dos Santos minus 130 as the favorite. I think Nurmagomedov, wrestling advantage, win by unanimous decision. And I'm impressed by his last win. Over Omar Gadzhiev, to be able to control on the ground like that, pretty solid. And Zaleski beat Benoit Saint-Denis last time out, and I think that Abubakar Nurmagomedov would run him out the fucking room. I think that he'd out-wrestle the hell out of Benoit. So, Nurmagomedov, unanimous decision. Don't sleep on Dagestan, especially at plus money. Next fight on the card, it brings us to the first one on the main. Make sure you smash the likes, and if you're new, subscribe. Guram Kutateladze versus Jamie Mullarkey. I'm picking Guram Kutateladze to beat up Jamie Mullarkey. I actually think he's going to get a stoppage. I feel like he's going to bully him with pressure, find openings, and then ground and pound against the cage. I see this as a pretty one-sided fight, as do the bookies. I mean, Guram's a favorite. Expected, though. Jamie Mullarkey's a pretty dangerous kickboxer, but he definitely can get hit. That head sometimes right in the center, a little bit upright, and I feel as though Guram's volume is a problem. His pace is a problem. His freakish work ethic, I believe, in the gym is what fucking leads to him looking so damn shredded and ready to go to war, and he can go. 1-1 in the UFC with weird results, man. Close fight. I know people sometimes, even him said he felt like he lost the Gamrot. Hey, still, 2.5 years ago, his Magomedov fight, people complained he could have won. 1-1 in the UFC and has fought some top-tier talent. Big step down with Jamie Mullarkey. Mullarkey recently got a bit of a gift over Michael the Menace Johnson. Before the Michael Johnson fight, Jalen Turner beat the shit out of him. I think Guram's fucking him up too. And Turner is, a pretty high-tier fighter at 155 pounds. And I think Guram is, even though not ranked, he's skill set wise towards that top 15, top 10. Francisco Prado, who was, a newbie in the game, 11-0. Guram should be able to do his thing here. I think he puts a lot of pressure on Mullarkey. He's got a grappling edge and a power edge, especially volume. And win ground and pound TKO after hurting him on the feet. Guram is a huge favorite, minus 300. Jamie Mullarkey plus 240. I'm going the 3-1 favorite, and I do see him pretty dominantly getting this thing done. Next fight on the card, ladies going after it. It's Karine Silva versus Ketlen Souza. Unfortunate for Karine, she didn't get to fight against Priscilla Cachoeira because that's a way bigger name than Ketlen Souza. I'm picking Karine Silva to win by unanimous decision. I feel like the striking, a little bit of an edge with range. Ketlen Souza is an explosive and athletic Muay Thai striker with grappling chops too. She's strong in the clinch. She's strong from the top position. She's got a good amount of fucking wins in a row, 13-3 record. And I mean, fighting Invicta is a fairly respectable thing. When you have some of these girls, coming from, the Brazilian circuit, you don't know who the hell they're fighting against. And even then, some of them still doing pretty well. But it's Brazil on Brazil battle here. So I'm going with the UFC tested Brazilian, Karine Silva. I think that she'll be able to be more precise with the striking, landing from range on Ketlen Souza. Also, I think when they get in close, Karine Silva will have a little bit of that physical strength edge. So I'm going to go Karine Silva by a unanimous decision with the ladies facing off here. It's minus 160 for Karine Silva, plus 140 for Ketlen Souza. Souza's a good athlete, man, and I think she has a pretty decent game, only 27. I don't think, she's going to be quickly released by the UFC, but I think that Karine Silva does work with her. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like she has the crazy experience, but to me, a win on Contender and a UFC debut win, those are high accolades, higher than, fighting mid-tier over an Invicta. I got Karine Silva by a unanimous decision. She should win this thing. Favorite, yes. Women's fight, give me Karine. Next fight on the card, Tim Elliott and Victor Altamirano. I think Tim Elliott is going to give him a veteran lesson. I like the savviness of Tim Elliott in the clinch positions. Yes, he can kind of abuse the rule set, and he did that against Ulanbekov. Hey, he won the fight. You got awkward stand-up with Tim Elliott. You got good wrestling and control, good cage control, good pace, durability. On the opposite side with Altamirano, he's got a scrappy boxing style. He's definitely got some decent hands, and he's got a nice wrestling base too. And he likes to bring volume, so I do expect this fight to be a bit of a scrap. But I feel like Tim Elliott is just going to be winning the positions on the ground. I think that he'll get Altamirano down, and even if he doesn't get significant control, it's going to be consistent on the feet. I see him landing strikes. I got Tim Elliott to win this thing by a unanimous decision. He's just been to the much higher levels, and he's proven to be able to beat back-end flyweights. I mean, Matthias Nicolau lost. Matthias is a dangerous motherfucker. Tagir Ulanbekov win, Jordan Espinoza win, Ryan Benoit win, and then you see Brandon Royval strangle him when Royval really burst onto the scene there. But Altamirano, to me, doesn't have those type of chops. He's 32. Yes, Tim Elliott at 36 is not in his absolute prime. And, recently having some issues with his girl is definitely a potential mental intangible that might be on the negative side. But you can also flip it and look positive. He doesn't have this toxic person in his life holding him down anymore. So give me Tim Elliott to do his thing out there. And the line is not wide towards Tim. Minus 150 to plus 135. Tim Elliott, very playable money line. I expected him to be 2-1. I didn't think it'd be minus 150. But hey, Tim Elliott to win. Unanimous decision. Veteran lesson here. I'm telling you guys, veteran lesson. Next fight on the card, it is the featured bout of the night, Jim Miller, Jared Gordon. And I just want to touch on how weird it is that Jared Gordon is so quickly rebooked after being knocked out against Bobby Green. Yes, it was a headbutt, but follow-up ground and pound. Jared Gordon now jumps in there with Jim Miller, who's not known necessarily for huge power, but had a great little fucking knockout streak going for himself with these two. And he fucked up Cowboy Cerrone as well. It's such a weird pick. If Jared Gordon is on point, he should win by a clean unanimous decision. But if that chin is really affected because he was knocked out recently, Jim Miller's got enough power to put him away. I got to pick the side of Jared Gordon, though. But I don't like picking a guy who was recently KO'd. So betting side, I lean stay off. I think you could even potentially argue that Jim Miller is a decent dog bet, even if you're picking against him, maybe even inside the distance for Jim Miller. He might get the KO. Jared Gordon might have no chin for this fight because getting knocked out with that headbutt like that last time against Bobby Green, and it's not been long ago, isn't a good look. But regardless of that fact, when I look at the matchup, I think Gordon's the better boxer with solid pressure and wrestling. He can control where this fight is at. I do think he can control the pace, and I think he could hold Jim Miller against the cage and get some serious control time there. I think he's a little bit physically stronger. He's also a lot younger than Jim Miller. Though Jim Miller, decent southpaw with some KO power he's showing later in his career, just got picked apart real bad against Anthony Hernandez. And I think Jared Gordon, by a unanimous decision, is the result we're looking at. But I don't like this quick turnaround at all. And I don't like the lines for this fight at all. Weirdly enough, I'm not seeing it right in front of my face here. No, I am. Minus 175, Jared Gordon. The lines come down. Plus 150, Jim Miller. People are playing Jim Miller. What is the Tapology reading? They got Gordon. Okay, I was curious about that. I feel like Gordon is going to win the fight, but we have to recognize the intangible of how recovered is he after a foul that led to a knockout in his most recent fight against Bobby Green, which was like, by the time we get to the fight, like a little over a month ago. That's not a long time. Jared Gordon to win, but concerning. Next fight on the card, it's the co-main event. It's Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres and Daniel Pineda. I am very excited to see this fight, guys. I'm picking Alex Caceres to win it. But Daniel Pineda's a dog, man. Beat Tucker Lutz last time out. He was getting picked apart real bad against Philipe before. Ended up getting the eye poke stoppage. And then previously to that, got fucked up against Cub Swanson. Alex Caceres has had a pretty good run. I mean, his one loss is against Sadiq Youssef, who's fairly high level. I think Caceres is going to have that well-rounded game to give Pineda a lot of problems, specifically kickboxing from distance, a competent grappling skill set. I do think Pineda hits harder and can come out with big shots, and Alex Caceres doesn't have serious punching power. His threat is honestly more the kicks. I feel like Caceres is going to be able to land straights from range. Pineda, a little bit older guy, could slow down in the later rounds. I think Caceres from range, it's going to be his best friend. Yes, Pineda is going to be an absolute junkyard dog coming out with fire, but I don't think he hurts Alex Caceres here. I respect the real durability of Caceres' side. I think hard-fought decision win in a fight that's fairly competitive, but Caceres does his thing against Daniel Pineda. Looking at the odds for this one, Caceres minus 163, and then Pineda plus 143. I love Pineda, but I can't pick him over Caceres. I mean, 2.5 years ago, loss, no contest, and then he beat Tucker Lutz, like by the time we get to the fight 2 months ago. The Julian Erosa win is decent. Alex Caceres by decision is really what I'm seeing. I know he hasn't beat the creme de la creme of competition, but he's always competitive in his fights that he's doing his thing in, like even this loss here with Sadiq Youssef. So give me Caceres to pull it off against the pit, Daniel Pineda. Main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's Kai Kara-France versus Amir Albazi. I'm going to be picking Kai Kara-France. Albazi and Kara-France, neither have gone 5 rounds, which is something that I find very interesting. And I'm curious how they're going to look if they do get to those later rounds. Striking advantage, Kai Kara-France. Wrestling advantage, Amir Albazi. Problem here. Kai Kara-France has a tremendous takedown defense rate, incredibly fast hips, nasty striker, and he makes you pay if you're shooting dumb shit at him. Now, Albazi's a great athlete with a pretty tight kickboxing style of his own, but has not shown the knockout ability that you see with Kai Kara-France. And if you look at Kai Kara-France against Brandon Moreno, he's hurting the champion, landing big strikes, and he looked awesome in that fight. Ultimately, didn't go his way. As my eye is on fire here. Holy shit, I got sweat leaking right into it. Kai Kara-France to win this fight. I think he does that. I got a tear coming down. I'm so emotional about Kara-France getting a win. I like Amir Albazi. I've been watching him since he came into the UFC, and I've always felt like he's eventually going to be a contender. But to jump to Kai Kara-France, a guy who just gave hell to Brandon Moreno, the world champion. Yeah, he got TKO'd in that fight by a nasty body kick. Albazi doesn't have those type of kicks. Albazi's got good grappling control, solid stand-up too. He finds his punches fairly well. But I don't see him just dominating Kai Kara-France in grappling exchange. I don't see him just jumping the back and holding Kai Kara-France. I think Kai Kara-France is going to rip him with big shots, bring pressure to him. Amir Albazi lost to Jose Shorty Torres in that first round. He was getting touched up. He got dropped a couple times in that fight. And you see Jose Shorty Torres, to me, laid a little bit of a blueprint. Albazi doesn't do well when he's pushed backwards. You start bullying him a little bit. Well, Kai Kara-France got the power to do that. you start finding openings. I think Kai Kara-France is going to knock Albazi out in the 3rd or 4th round. So give me Kai via knockout to win the main event and bring it home for City Kickboxing. Looking at the odds, Kai's an underdog at plus 110. Amir Albazi, the minus 130 favorite. Give me Kai Kara-France via KO to take out the Iraqi prospect. Great fight. Very high level matchup in the flyweight division, and the winner puts themselves in great position to get a massive fight. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the early predictions for this card. Didn't want to leave you without some content, so here it is. Make sure you guys smash the likes. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. As always, drop a W in the chat, and definitely let me know what you think of the picks in the comments. I'll be doing live streams all week long, so keep it locked in on the channel. And we'll have some fun with the live Q&As. And the new Bongski is on the way. So looking forward to it. Much love. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace, everybody.